Hello there, and welcome back to the show. And today I'm going to be ranking the 10 highest grossing films of the 2010s. So, the 10 highest grossing films of the 2010s by release date are as follows: The Avengers, Furious 7, Avengers Age of Ultron, Jurassic World, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, The Lion King Remake, and Frozen 2. And I'm going to be ranking them from worst to best. Starting off with number 10, and what is a no-brainer, the 2019 Lion King remake. I really loved the original Lion King animated film, one of my favorite movies as a kid. This live-action remake was nowhere, it's not even in the same league as the original. It is boring. The photorealistic animals were, whenever they spoke, they looked just terrible, and the lack of emotion on the faces, it made it hard to care about anything that was going on screen. I did not like this movie and have never gone back to rewatch it, so it is at the bottom of this list. Coming in at number 9, we've got Frozen 2. I thought the first Frozen film was fine. Not great, but not bad. I thought it was a decent, run-of-the-mill animated film with some really good visuals. The second film, honestly, more or less the same. I thought it was a decent enough animated film with some impressive visuals and some good animation. However, it is weaker than the original film, and I'm just not a fan of the second Frozen film. Coming in at number 8, we've got Avengers Age of Ultron, the highly anticipated sequel to the first Avengers film, and with all the hype around this film, there is no way it could have ever lived up to the hype, and I think that's one of the things that kind of brought this movie down for me. However, this film does have its charm. It has some great action sequences, a couple of decent character moments. I will say, though, I wasn't the biggest fan of how they portrayed Ultron in the movie, especially when you compare it to his appearances in Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and compare that with the Ultron we got in Age of Ultron, because I just think Ultron could have been more menacing than what we ended up getting on screen. But as an overall film, I still find Avengers Age of Ultron an enjoyable watch. And coming in at number 7, ironically, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. The Force Awakens was actually the first Star Wars film I have ever watched. Growing up, I've always heard about Star Wars. It was referenced in a lot of media, but I've actually never watched the original trilogy or the prequels prior to going into Force Awakens, because my thought process was, okay, this is a sequel to a film that came out over 30 years ago, so they've got to be making it for a new generation. So I went into Force Awakens blind, and I can honestly say that it exceeded my expectations. I really enjoyed Force Awakens. Enjoyed the space battles. I liked the way it set everything up. It really did feel like a space opera for a new generation. Unfortunately, the two sequels that followed were not very good, but this film, in my opinion, was still pretty solid, and I enjoyed it when I watched it. Coming in at number 6, Jurassic World. To me, Jurassic World is one of those things that's like, okay, a summer blockbuster. Like a popcorn film, go to the theater, turn your brain off, just watch it and be entertained for 2 hours. And to me, that's exactly what Jurassic World was. I loved Jurassic Park when I watched it for the first time as a kid. Jurassic World, watching it as a teenager, still enjoyed it. I loved that they expanded the park, it being open to the world, had a few decent laughs, and the dinosaur battles, I enjoyed it. So that's why I'm placing Jurassic World at number 6. Coming in at number 5, Furious 7. Furious 7 to me is the peak of the Fast and Furious franchise. To me, this is the best film in the series, and it's got some of the best action sequences. It's got some great one-liners. I really enjoyed Furious 7. I watched it opening weekend when it first came out in 2015, and the tribute to Paul Walker at the very end of the film was one of the most emotional things I have seen in a movie theater. That was incredibly well done. They did a really good job with that tribute to Paul Walker. Coming in at number 4, Black Panther. When Black Panther made his appearance in Captain America Civil War and he had the interactions and the airport battle, first thing that came to my mind was Black Panther solo film. When is it coming? How soon can I watch it? Black Panther was an amazing film. It told a really good story. It was well acted, had some heartfelt moments. Killmonger, one of the best villains in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. The way they built up T'Challa in this film, I thought that was really well done. Some pretty good comedy. Black Panther was a great film, and it is number 4 on this list. Coming in at number 3, the first Avengers movie. The first Avengers film had a lot of hype around it, and I remember watching this in cinemas the opening weekend, literally packed theater. Everyone was excited to see this group of superheroes come together on screen for the first time. To me, I was excited, but at the same time a little disappointed, because while I did want to see a superhero team up live action on a cinema screen, I was really hoping that it would have been the Justice League, but the Avengers, they did a really good job with the movie, how the team came together, Loki and the Chitauri, the way they tied in all those previous movies leading into this. That was really well done, and what it set up and what it created cannot be understated. The Avengers, I loved that film, still love that film. It is great, and it is number 3 on this list. And speaking of hype, coming in at number 2, Avengers Endgame. The hype around Avengers Endgame towards the beginning of 2019 could not be understated. This was the most anticipated film, arguably of all time. The hype, everything, the fallout from Avengers Infinity War, where they were going to take the story, the conclusion of the Infinity Saga, Thanos, everything. They pulled it off in a masterful way. Avengers Endgame was, from a storytelling perspective, very good. Even though the film is 3 hours long, it barely felt like 3 hours. The time heist, I really enjoyed that. Everything you've come to expect from the MCU, all of them exist in this film. Some great moments, and the final battle in particular. And the 2 moments that are still with me to this day, Captain America using Mjolnir and I Am Iron Man followed by the snap. 2 of the greatest moments I have ever witnessed in a cinema, and they were in the same movie within minutes of each other. That is just unbelievable. Avengers Endgame, love that film, and it is number 2 on this list. And coming in at number 1, it is of course Avengers Infinity War. Personally speaking, I was more hyped for Avengers Infinity War than I was for Endgame, because this would be the first time that characters from all these movies that we've seen from the MCU up until this point would be on screen at the same time. And the way they did it was excellent. I loved everything about this film. The action sequences, the 2 battles on Wakanda and Titan happening at the same time, the character dynamics, these characters interacting with each other for the first time, the first meeting between Thor and the Guardians, as well as Iron Man, Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange and the Guardians. Like, those were incredible moments. Some amazing comedy, the Drax standing still line, one of the funniest moments in the MCU. Just so many great things about Avengers Infinity War. To me, Avengers Infinity War is the peak of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the best film they have ever produced. It is the height of the Infinity Saga. Everything about this film, the emotional weight, was magnificent. And on a list of the 10 highest grossing films of the 2010s, to me, it is no question number 1. That is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you on the next one. Till then, take care.